Good morning. It's 11 o'clock. It's time for Unity. Here's Mark Kinney with some special music. There was a time in my life I thought I'd do it all for myself. Didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. Didn't know the love of God was at hand. But now I can say, if you are discouraged, struggling just to make it through another day, you've got to let it go, let it all go. This is what you need to say. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God.
Thank you, Mark. That was really nice. Boy, it's right in our face, huh? Good morning. Welcome to Unity, and it's good to see all of you here. My name is Michael Bouchard, and I'll be our service coordinator. The CDC is still encouraging the wearing a mask, but our board voted to allow everyone to attend to use their own judgments in terms of what's comfortable. So let's honor one another, masked or not, and take a few moments to just acknowledge each other here with waves and nods and other non-physical means to show our appreciation and love. And welcome to all of you who are new here today for the first time. And so now we move into the more formal part of our service. And so let's remember that Unity in Missoula is what we call a team ministry. And this means that it's completely operated on all of you who volunteer and fill all the needs of our community. And we've been doing this for 25 years. So congratulations. And now, before we go into our basic principles, like what Mark's song was talking about, let's just take a breath for a moment. And maybe close your eyes if you're comfortable and just allow yourself to come into this present moment. We're constantly taking on anxieties, pressures, as we just live our normal moment-to-moment lives. So it's important for us to stop and to connect to who we are and to our sacredness. And so our basic principles: God is all good and active in everything and everywhere. I am naturally good because God's divinity is in me and in everyone. I am naturally good because God's divinity, I create my experiences by what I choose to think and feel and believe. And through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. I do and give my best. By living the truth I know, I do make a difference. And our daily word is our monthly meditation magazine. And today the focus is pray for others. In love and faith, I pray for you and with you. I am honored to pray with others, and I am grateful when others support me in prayer. When praying hearts and minds are joined, the power of prayer is multiplied. My partners in prayer may be in the same room or far away. We may be close friends or strangers. The power of prayer transcends what mere words can express. So we need not even speak the same language. We share the heart's language of love and faith and connectedness. Although the appearance of sickness, a perception of lack or insufficiency, or interpersonal discord may have prompted us to pray, we set these concerns aside as we say yes to wholeness, abundance, and harmonizing love that are blessing in our lives and in every life. Again, truly, I tell you, this is from Matthew. Again, truly, I tell you, if two of you agree on earth about anything to ask, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven. Amen. We have a few announcements for this week. Next Sunday will be Father's Day, and the speaker will be myself next Sunday. And our June theme is Imagining Good. Now, our online book group meets on Mondays at noontime, and they're reading Radical Compassion by Tara Brock. To get the link to this online book group, please call or talk to Nancy Leifer, or there she is in the back. Thank you, Nancy. Neither our Tuesday book group or our Wednesday Course in Miracles group will meet this coming week. Linda and Tom are out of town. We're holding a time of silent prayer and meditation for peace and support of the people of Ukraine and Russia every Thursday evening at 7 right here. If you can't attend, please take a few moments, like we were just talking about in the focus of the daily word today, to just join from wherever you are. We know that prayer works, and it's very powerful. Please join us on Tuesday, June the 21st, 7 p.m. This is sort of a special presentation on climate change and what we can do to combat it. Wendy Hansen Ferry, who is an LED certified environmentalist working with several climate focus groups in the Seattle area, will be doing a presentation. She was a part of this community back in the early 80s when she was a teenager. She ran the YOU group for the teens at that time. As a teenager, there was adults also. Thanks so much to those of you who continue to support Unity Community through your tithes and your love offerings. There was a basket in the foyer there when we came in for any kind of donations. for those of you who are here today. You may also mail us your offerings to the church here, 546 South Avenue West, Missoula, Montana, 59801. So before we move on to the talk this morning, I will affirm Unity's primary affirmation and then ask you to join with me 2 more times. Again, like we did in the beginning, it really helps if you can just pause and allow yourself to feel the things that we say. Because when you engage them into the emotions, you have so much more power than when it's just the mind thinking it. So let it come down into your hearts and let it express whatever it is that you feel and think. Let's see here. Actually, I skipped. I'm going to go back here. We have our offering. I'm going to do that first, and then we'll go into our affirmations. The church's 10% tithe this week will go to Unity Institute, the educational division of Unity Worldwide. Please hold them in your hearts as I affirm, divine love is the source of our bounty. Divine love has us, blesses and multiplies all that we are and have, all that we give, and all that we receive. And now together. Divine love is the source of our bounty. Divine love has us, blesses and multiplies all that we are and have, all that we give, and all that we receive. Amen. Now I will affirm Unity's primary affirmation and then have you join me in it 2 more times. There is only one presence and one power in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. And now together, there is only one presence, one power in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. And again, there is only one presence and one power in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. In addition, here's our Missoula Unity affirmation. I will affirm it once and then ask you to join me again. We are Unity of Missoula. We are a radiating center of divine love, open and accessible to all. We are God's light, peace, and joy wherever we are. And together, we are Unity of Missoula. We are radiating center of divine love, open and accessible to all. We are God's light, peace, and joy wherever we are. Unity of Missoula maintains a circle of people who have made a commitment to pray every day for others at the request. We have over here is a little prayer box, and there's forms there where you can put whoever you want to hold in prayer, including yourself. And then those will also be sent to Silent Unity, where they'll hold it for an entire month. If you have, let's see here. Also, you can call the church on Fridays or just leave a message on the answer machine. If something comes up and you have someone you'd like to hold in prayer, Linda will make sure that it gets to the prayer circle that holds it every day. And also, we have a support team of chaplains. So if you do not have a chaplain at this point in time, most of our members do. But if you don't, just get hold of myself or Linda Andrus or Nancy Leifer, and we can get you set up to be able to have a chaplain. The chaplain calls once a month and just connects with us, and we just hold in prayer whatever is needed for both of us. So now, let's just take a moment to hold all the people that are on our hearts in our communities. You also may say silently or aloud the other names of people that you'd like to hold in this time of prayer. So just close your eyes and hold these people in your hearts. Dear God, we hold these friends and loved ones in our heart. We behold their light and expressions as the indwelling Christ. We release them to your care and affirm divine order and power in their lives and in ours. Thank you, God. Amen. Well, our speaker today is a gentleman that you see every Sunday, kept behind me here, Jeff Haberman. And Jeff has been a part of this community since the late 80s. And one of Jeff's gifts is he, I believe, came with a real deep sense and understanding of serving and of giving. And he's been a tireless giver here the entire time he's been here in so many different ways. Boards, prayer chaplain, different things. But one of the gifts he brings to us, besides his tremendous gift in music, because he's a gifted musician, but also along with that came a familiarity with technology. And so Jeff has really helped us move through this COVID in a really gentle way that's allowed us to stay connected with each other through this past 2 years. So, but anyway, just so many things. He's just a blessing as who he is. So Jeff, thank you so much for being here and also serving as a speaker.
Thank you for those kind words, Michael. Appreciate that. And good morning, everyone. If you're just joining us for the first time, I'd like to welcome you here to Unity of Missoula. As mentioned before, we are a team ministry. We're kind of a do-it-ourselves kind of a group, and we like that. We do occasionally bring in, quote-unquote, certified ministers from Unity from time to time, but that's okay because they fit right like a glove. It's a wonderful thing that we have here. I like to thank Reverend Susan Gum last week, starting our new month's theme of power, ability of imagination. And as mentioned before, the theme is imagining good. It's a good theme. I like that because I think in our innate divinity, we all seek our higher good, what's best for us. And if we can emulate that and radiate that to others, then it makes for a better world, I think. I feel good about that. You know, years ago, there was a television program called The Twilight Zone. Some of you might be familiar with that program. Rod Serling was a wonderful writer and had some really fascinating stories. But he would always preface the evening's episode with his personal appearance, and he would say, imagine, if you will. So I'm going to do a Rod Serling right now. It's a little bit what happens when we find ourselves in challenging situations, and you have to imagine what would happen in this particular circumstance. So Rod Serling, if you could picture in your mind Rod Serling saying this. Imagine, if you will, an atheist pulls up behind a car that's stopped at a green light and it has a bumper sticker that says, honk if you love Jesus. What does he do? The moment of decision. It's a conundrum. can imagine what he would do. Maybe he would just go around. I don't know. Maybe he would just have to surrender and honk his horn so the guy would move. Anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. But that all deals with imagination. Imagination, every month we talk about a certain power or ability that we have innate, that is innate within us. This is part of Unity's belief system, that we are born with the divine within us. It's just a matter of process of revealing the divine in us as we go along in terms of our personal time-space continuum as we stay here on this planet Earth. So all of the powers, they're all separate, yet they all combine together to create what Charles Fillmore, the founder of Unity, would say the regenerated man, or the Christ man, or Christ enthroned in man, the perfect man. Not that we are ever perfect, but it is something that we strive towards in terms of our spiritual path. And in Unity, if there's any kind of dogma at all, it's the fact that we realize that we have a divine inheritance. And I find that the power ability of imagination is, when I think about it and what I've read, it's really a very powerful ability. I think Susan Gum invited everybody last week to believe and perceive as little children. The wonderment, those first formative years when we come into the world and we look at things in a sense of awe and discovery, and our imaginations are just so ripe that we haven't been conditioned yet by circumstances or environment. And so it's such a purity of imagination we have when we're first born. And of course, as we know, life has a tendency to wrap itself around us, and we get distracted by the cares of the day. But that ability of imagination is still within us. Here in Unity, we really believe in the strength and the power of meditation and prayer. It's one of those skills and tools that we have as seekers of truth, that we can just at any moment close our eyes and come into the presence of Spirit. Jesus said the kingdom of heaven lies within, and it's so true. If we just take the time to remember, because we have all these wonderful abilities that if we just apply them, would make incredible changes in the way we live our lives on a day-to-day basis. The inherent divinity within all of us. I was talking to my wife earlier this morning, and in terms of the imagination, what I like to see, for some reason, I've just been fixated on this phrase of, that's just God in process. It's God in process. In everything, every situation, no matter what, where you are, where anybody else is, you can look at that situation, circumstances, and just look at it and transcend and say, it's just God in process. God is never finished with us, and we're never finished with God. Hopefully. We come back to Unity and kind of get filled up like our spiritual gas station week after week, just to remember that, I remember now. I remember that I am a divine child of God, and I should be good, and all things that our ego mind tells us that we should or shouldn't do. And that's just our personality, our ego personalities, and that's something that we are always working with. Every day I get up and say, "Okay, Jeff, you're going to let go and let God." And I've heard the phrase say, well, if you don't let go, you'll get dragged along. Okay, I'll let go. I always like to give the definition of the power, and I always refer to Charles Fillmore as the revealing word. Just kind of sets the template of things in terms of what we're talking about. And it's somewhere here. Excuse me. I thought I had it marked. I did. Imagination, the faculty of mind that images and forms, the power to shape and form thought. The imagining faculty presides at the nerve center between the eyes, otherwise known as the third eye. I did have a picture of my eye I was going to tape on my head, but I lost it somewhere. It always helps to have a prop, but Just imagine, if you will, my third eye. If you imagine people walking around with their third eyes, it might be kind of a scary kind of sci-fi movie or something. What's the matter with that person? It's a third eye. It's the better to perceive you with. Yes. Anyway, I continue. Through this faculty, the formless takes form. With our imagination, we lay hold of ideas and clothe them with substance. The body is the product of the mind. What man pictures or imagines in his mind will eventually appear in his body. In the communication of God with man, the imaging power of the mind plays an important part. It receives divine ideas and reflects their character to the consciousness. According to the scriptures, this is the opening of the heavens and seeing the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. I always like what Charles Fillmore said about consciousness and how our consciousness should be spiritualized. We spiritualize our consciousness. It's one thing in terms of our ego personalities just to be awake. Okay, it's morning. Here's my coffee and da-da-da-da-da, and you're all the routine things we go through. But when we get spiritualized our awareness, our consciousness, then our realities really take on a different tone and a different aspect, a different facet of what our realities consist of. I always like what Wayne Dyer said from his book, Power of Intention. And I always think about that from time to time when I'm kind of struggling or trying to understand challenging situations. And he said, if you want things to change the way you look at things. And I think that's very powerful because we get so attached to the way things are, we don't realize that we have that ability to change it, because we can change our mind, our perceptions about it. And it totally turns things around. Oh, I've been looking through the binoculars in the wrong end, so we turn them around, and then all of a sudden, okay, now I see, now I understand. I understand that I have the imagination to create the reality that I want to create for my highest good. That's what we're talking about here today, is imagining good. How do we do that? Well, as kids, we grew up imagining all sorts of things, wonderful things, also some scary things too, like the boogeyman and that stranger that's hiding out in the garage that's going to grab me every time I put my bicycle away or something like that, But that's just childhood stuff. As we grow into adulthood, then our fears and our concerns and anxieties shift a little bit depending on what's occupying our consciousness. But when that consciousness is spiritualized, of course, then we know that we can transcend any kind of challenging situation by saying, oh, it's God in process. Okay, it's God in process. Even though it might seem a little Pollyannish or, sunshine and lollipop, but it actually isn't, because it allows me to see things in an understandable way that I can perceive and be okay with it. I don't have to hold on to it and work it over and over in my mind. Just it gives me a level of understanding that says, this will pass. Those people, those situations, that will pass. It's all temporary. And even as terrible and tragic as it is in the situation with Russia and Ukraine, we know that this will pass if we keep praying and seeing the good outcome of it all. That's what part of our work is, to be prayerful, mindful, sentient, God-loving individuals and trying to emulate that. Let that show in the world. Susan quoted a couple quotes from Linda Martellus Winslet from Divine Audacity. And she kind of broke it down, the power, ability of imagination in three components. First one is conception from the mind, the divine idea. I like the word inspiration. When you break that word down, it's in spirit. In spirit, I'm expressing the divine mind through me. As Charles Fillmore said, it begins with thought, divine thought, and then it forms into substance, which is the process. Number two is envision. So you get inspired with conceiving that idea, that divine idea. Number two, then you envision how that plays out. You see things working out in your mind's eye. You can imagine that. And the third step, and this is the most crucial one, I think, in terms of actualizing the reality and manifesting your ideas, is in embodiment. How do we apply that to our lives? How do we remove those things that no longer serve us and replace them with something that we started in our divine identity and our imagination, and see it to manifestation in our lives? We do that by connecting. Sometimes sometimes when I'm in prayer and meditation, I try not to, make a plea, or I try to do more of an affirmative prayer. And I know that through God's own time frame, things will work out. I have that faith. That's that trust I have. I don't immediately see a response. I just say, okay, it's God in process, taking his time about things. Or, however it's going to work out, I will trust the outcome because I'm willing to let go, get out of my own way, and trust the process. And so there's a lot of things I imagine in my meditations that I'd like to, feel that they would manifest in my life sooner or later, because of whatever my changing circumstance may be this day or the next. My spiritual practice is such that I can't dwell too much on the past, and I can't get too anxious about the future. But all I know is that what I have right before me in the moment, how I feel, how I perceive myself, and how I'm perceiving others, and how others perceive me. I don't really get too concerned about in terms of how people perceive me, other than the fact that I hope they can see maybe a little bit of my light shining through this personality of Jeff, and realize that we're all, children of God, and we're all coming along and learning our lessons wherever we're at on our path. And our path today is to use our wonderful ability of imagination for our highest good. Whatever that takes for you, if you want, like Reverend Gum invited us to do last week, was to, think like a child. The kingdom, the children see the kingdom of heaven through their sense of wonderment. They see the magic. I try to, doing that, because we're grown up adults, and we give up our childish ways. But that doesn't mean we have to give up our childish sense of fun and excitement and enthusiasm for the things that we do today. And we can have a sense of magic in our life, and a sense of whimsy, and allow for a certain amount of divine serendipity to happen in our lives, and accept it. And that's another thing, is being able to accept what comes to us as through either grace, divine intervention, however that manifests itself, or realization, self-realization, saying, I am constantly unfolding. I'm not like I was yesterday. And God knows what I'll be like tomorrow. But I'm here now. I think Bhama Das made that famous saying, be here now. And that's all I have, is to be here now. So I'm trying to imagine my good and here now. I imagined you right now. I imagine me standing up here speaking and trying to convey a message of goodness that you can take with you and resonate and carry on through your day and fulfill you, just for today. That's what we have. I am so thankful and grateful for the ability to be able to share where I'm at on my spiritual path. We have many speakers that come up here and speak from week to week. And I just so am grateful for all the individuals that share their journey, because it helps me on my journey. And together we're all helping each other on our journey as brothers and sisters of a living, loving God. If you can imagine that. A living, loving God. That's what I like to imagine. And that living, loving God is in process. The founders of unity, and some of the touchstone literature from Emily Cady and Charles Fillmore and later Cora, and of course Myrtle. They described things and wrote things in the vernacular of their day. And there has been a lot of, updating in terms of the language. It kind of puts a lot of, contemporary people off because the language is a little stiff per se, And so there's been some wonderful individuals have come forward and kind of modernized the liturgical writings of the Unity of Missoula, just Unity Worldwide Ministries. And one of them is Paul Hasselback. I think he does a wonderful job in terms of making the principles that we believe in unity more accessible, more understandable. It's part of that practical Christianity. We can take those metaphysical examples from the Bible and Jesus showed us and how to apply them in our day-to-day lives. But he has a nice way of distilling some of the things that Charles wrote about imagination. I'd just like to share a little bit of that with you. It says the principle of imagination is critical to manifesting something in mind prior to manifesting something in the outer world. Imagination is the basis of our ability to shape and form thought by envisioning, imagining, visualizing, and conceptualizing. We are gathering a mass of ideas of life and substance and use our imagination to make them into thought forms. We use it to shape substance, to shape and mold divine ideas, as well as the thoughts and feelings derived from divine ideas. So basically, he went on and kind of amplified what Charles was saying in terms of divine mind and taking the formless and making it into form through that process of conception, envisioning, and then embodiment. It's so easy to distract, and I think Reverend Gum mentioned the fact, that we plug into media and it just, they're selling fear, and it creates this uneasy feeling in our guts. And he suggested, well, just turn it off, take a walk, fly a kite, walk the dog, whatever you needed to do to shift that energy, because that's one of those things that distract us from staying connected with our divine within us. And so we know we have the power and the ability to do that. We just have to remember to do that. But Paul Hasselback said this as well. We see the thought, idea, belief, or image of the unwanted thought, ideal, or belief disappear. That's when we get focused on our higher good. Then we see firmly in mind the new thought, idea, belief, or image of the wanted belief. How many people have you've heard, you say, you are what you eat? Well, you are what you think, too. Sometimes I feel like sometimes I'm a victim of my own thinking. It's too much overthinking. What's the saying? A paralysis from analysis. You get so caught up in, and then all of a sudden you get the second guessing and the doubting. You're doubting, and ultimately you're getting in your own way in terms of that divine flow of inspiration, intuition, that gut feeling. Oh, I should have trusted my gut feeling. Well, 9 times out of 10, your gut feeling was right. How many people have experienced that? It's just part of our divine nature to stay connected to that. But we think we have control of everything, most of the time, and that's not the case when you let go and let God and realize that someone else is in control. You think like the Buddhists believe that it's like you're on a chariot and someone else is holding the reins. You can't control that runaway chariot. That's your constant monkey mind going all the time. So our practice here at Unity is to come and remember and spiritualize our consciousness through either the power of imagination or the other subsequent abilities and powers, so we can face this day and every day as empowered, enlightened beings of our Christ nature, our Buddha nature, whatever it is, that spark of divinity that needs to be shown constantly in this ever-changing world. The only thing that doesn't change is our divine inheritance and our accessibility to it and our practice of it. And that's what we believe in here in Unity, is taking divine ideas, those principles and laws, and applying them in our daily lives. How am I doing on time here? Okay, so imagining good in all things. I invite you at this time, we're going to have a little bit of a meditation. Find that space within you. And we will come into the presence of Spirit. And Jesus said to go within. Jesus, the way shower, was the model of the ideal man, the spiritual human being, the ultimate expression of God in the world. And so now we sit back and we come into the presence of Spirit. And we allow ourselves to let our imagination take us to those places in our mind that give us peace, that gives us joy, that refreshes our soul and strengthens us in our practice of staying connected to our divine inheritance. We are so grateful for the ability to transcend the cares of the day and reunite with God. We see God in all things, all people, all circumstances, all environments. We see God as process, God in progress. We trust and have faith that the expression of the divine, through our willingness to let go and let God, make manifest our highest good, our intention, our striving and our endeavors on this planet is to reach out for that highest good, whenever, wherever it may be. We are thankful for the ability to conceive and envision and embody the spirit of a living, loving God. Put that light before my path. Each step I take is toward my higher good. Give me the strength of purpose to connect my heart with my mind, and with my mind to my spiritualized consciousness. All things are for the good of God. Good is everywhere. It just needs to be revealed this day and every day. We abide in the peace of the Christ within. We are comforted by the wisdom and the knowledge of an eternal Spirit as embodied by the Christ. Let us this day strive to be that model of enlightenment. Give us the ability to share that enlightenment with all who we come across in our affairs. And I bless those who are struggling to become more awake. And I give thanks for more awareness, more consciousness, more love, more joy, more peace. So it is. So it shall be. We offer this time to the living Christ within. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, for it is so. It is so. Thank you. Namaste, Shalom, Yatehe, or as the Cherokee or the Comanche would say, it's all good. Thank you. Okay, well, I guess we have to do the community prayer. That's the one prayer for protection. And it's up there for all to see if you don't know the words. But let's say it together. Ready? The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Now I invite you to stand and form a circle if you'd so desire, or stand where you are, whatever you're comfortable with, and we will close with the peace song. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Oh, yes, let it begin with me. Bring it all back home, you know. You get back there in the dark soul of the night, and just you and that little voice inside your head, and say, yeah, let it begin with me. I can do this. Just help me along every now and then a bit. God, it's like you and me. This is a kind of a co-creation kind of thing. So I imagine that God's hearing me at any time. Amongst He's hearing a lot of voices all the time. But I know that He's so special. He, she, Mother, Father, God is so special that He hears it all the time. And it starts with me today by connecting and imagining that I am moving towards my highest good. And while I'm doing that, I'm having fun. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mark. Okay. Thanks, Louise. Thank you.